from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Being able to have one less burden off of them is just awesome. It's just, important right now.
The Indianapolis Housing Agency is taking steps to avoid mass evictions as the state's eviction moratorium expires tomorrow. How they're working with residents instead of putting them on the streets.
The flu season is about to intersect with the COVID-19 pandemic. Working for you, we get advice from health experts, the steps you should take to stay safe and healthy.
Thunderstorms between Bloomington and Bedford now. We'll talk about when rain chances return for all of us coming up.
It's day 2 of practice for the Indianapolis 500. That means we're back trackside with sports director Dave First and driver analyst Tony Kanaan.
Welcome into the news at 6 here on WRTV. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. First at 6 o'clock tonight, the moratorium on evictions here in Indiana will expire tomorrow. So that means Hoosiers who were unable to pay their rent in the past few months during the pandemic are at risk of being evicted. But today, the Indianapolis Housing Agency approved a proposal to prevent mass evictions in Indianapolis. Working for you, WRTV's Stephanie Wade is finding information that's critical if you or someone you know is at risk of being evicted.
Thousands of people just in the city of Indianapolis are at risk of being kicked out of their homes starting Friday. But today, the IHA Board of Commissioners voted to try to stop that.
Times right now are very tough.
Tough for many of us, especially for those who lost jobs or had pay cuts because of COVID-19. And with the state's eviction moratorium expiring tomorrow, that puts literally hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers who were unable to pay their rent the past few months, potentially on the streets.
Already we have a lot of homeless out here, and you've got families with illness, families with kids. Where are they going to go? The jobs are closed down. What are we going to do? We are crying for help.
But for those who live at one of the 13 Indianapolis Housing Agency properties in Marion County, which is about 2,000 families right now, IHA is offering them a repayment agreement plan rather than facing immediate eviction.
We don't want to file these mass evictions when we're able to. We would like to, again, provide stable housing for our residents so that they can focus on employment and not having to worry about a place to call home.
They're worried about jobs, their income, they're worried about food, they're worried about their children. So the last thing that they need to be worried about now is having a roof, whether or not a roof is going to be snatched from over their heads.
Currently, 900 households are behind on rent, according to IHA, which translates to nearly $1 million. For those who have been impacted by the pandemic, you may also qualify to have your rent lowered by completing a change of income form.
They'll give you a break a little bit for it. That's one thing I like about it. They try to talk to you, they try to work with you. That's what I like.
Families struggling right now, just trying to survive.
I'm begging, I am pleading. I'm a 61-year-old breast cancer survivor. My daughter is battling breast cancer survivor. She signed up for the rental assistance, and thank God that she has gotten approved. And I just know that we're going to get through this.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
The Office of Public Health and Safety has also outlined programs and organizations assisting renters and homeowners struggling to make their monthly payments right now. To see a list of resources, visit our website at WRTV.com. And if you live outside of Marion County, you can get help too if you're struggling to pay rent. Go to the website indianahousingnow.org. There you'll find the rental assistance portal. Also, there are instructions if you live in Marion County and aren't dealing with the Indianapolis Housing Authority.
We are getting close to the start of the flu season, and medical experts are weighing in on the impact COVID-19 could have on it. They say the same preventative measures people are taking to stop the spread of COVID-19 also help protect you against other viruses like the flu. They say if people continue to wear masks, wash their hands regularly, and try to avoid large crowds, we could see fewer flu cases than in years before. The opposite is true if restrictions start easing up.
On the flip, if people start relaxing those measures, if people get complacent, we could have the opposite effect where now we have two deadly virulent pathogens circulating in the community at the same time.
Doctors are expecting an increase in telehealth calls and lab visits as they work to properly diagnose people who do get sick. Many of the initial symptoms of COVID-19 are similar to those of the flu. Both doctors and the health department also stressed the importance of the flu shot. It is expected to be available next month.
There is an increase in new COVID-19 cases, new deaths, and also a bump in new tests. Let's look at the new data from the state today. There are 1,046 new cases of COVID-19. That is nearly 400 more new cases than the state reported yesterday. There are also 20 new deaths. The state is reporting more than people were tested, 11,272 new tests. That's up more than 500 from yesterday. 2,898 Hoosiers have died from the coronavirus since the pandemic began. More than 877,000 people in Indiana have been tested for COVID-19. 8.8% of them tested positive for the virus. State data shows 33% of ICU beds in Indiana are available. That's slightly lower than yesterday's report. COVID-19 patients are using 12.8% of the beds. Non-COVID patients are using 54% of the beds. 80% of Indiana's ventilators are also available.
New claims for unemployment in the state continue to fall. In Indiana, more than 10,000 Hoosiers filed for unemployment last week. That's still above normal, but it is the lowest number of claims since businesses began laying off workers in March. And since March, about 950,000 Hoosiers have filed first-time unemployment claims. Nationally, the Labor Department says 963,000 Americans filed for unemployment for the first time last week. That's the first time that number has been below 1 million since the middle of March. And WRTV's Hiring Hoosiers initiative is even more important now that so many people are looking for employment. If you need a job, look at our job board at hiringhoosiers.com. You can also go to our Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page.
For years, it's been talked about, but some officers in the city of Indianapolis are finally outfitted with body cameras. Tonight, we get an inside look at the use of IMPD body cams. WRTV Chief Investigator Rafael Sanchez was allowed to wear one of those body cameras. This is the view from it. 77 Metro police officers and counting have already been given their camera on the city's east side. The camera's on and off function can be controlled by the officers, but during major moments like drawing a weapon, the system turns on automatically. People will be able to request video from the body-worn cameras. The maximum that the city can charge for video is $159 per state law. In addition to uniform officers, officers who work traffic detail, K-9, and SWAT will also receive a camera. It's a cloudy evening in most areas of central Indiana. There's been isolated rain and storms in a few spots. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory shows us how to prepare for the end of the work week. Hey, Kevin.
We'll gain some momentum as we go into the weekend mark and then big changes next week. Temperature in Indy's 83. We were at 87 this afternoon. There are the temperatures in Kokomo, also in Bloomington. Let's talk about the thunderstorms that we've had. Those have been hanging out to the south. Now they've faded away near Bedford. That rain produced over an inch in spots. We kind of highlight that. You have just northwest of Bedford some heavy rainfall. At one point produced some 40-mile-per-hour gusts and some localized flooding, I'm quite sure. Most of the thunderstorms will stay in the southwest portion of the area. For the remainder of the evening, temperatures tonight will be in the 60s and the chance for any individual showers will be low across central Indiana. Here's the temperature trend. Temperatures lower 80s by the time we get to 11 o'clock tonight with mostly cloudy skies. Still, we'll check into the weekend forecast with details coming up.
Thanks, Kevin. It's day 2 of Indianapolis 500 practice at IMS. Drivers are trying to figure out what they have in their car and what tweaks need to be made. Let's go trackside with WRTV Sports Director Dave First. Hey, Dave.
Yep. That is the sound of Ben Hanley. This team is still trying to get things dialed in. Big day tomorrow, Fast Friday. The boost will be turned up. Speeds will go much higher. Let's show you what happened today, though, here at the world's greatest race course. Pretty lengthy day, all told. Began at 11 o'clock, wrapped up at 5:30 this afternoon. Tony Kanaan happy to take off that face mask and put on his helmet. He'll join us here in just a bit. Most everyone's still working on race day setup, so speed wasn't exactly the goal today. Getting comfortable to go 500 miles miles. That was the goal. And because of that, over 3,200 laps turned today. 32 to 33 on the race course. Ben Hanley's wrapping things up as we speak. In fact, you can hear him going by as I speak. Among those who look really good today, Scott Dixon. It's been 11 years since he won the Indy 500. The 5-time series champ likes the program his team is on.
Not a whole lot, actually. I thought when we'd done some preseason testing, it manipulated the car a little bit differently, but today it seems to be, and yesterday seems more back to normal where the front kind of washes out. So it's working normal and perfect, and it's going to be a difficult race to definitely complete passes, though.
I'll use him as it. That is Scott Dixon. We'll show you the quick six as well. Scott Dixon atop of that. All coming up a little bit later on WRTV Trackside. Ben Hanley is still taking a couple laps. Tony Kanaan will join us as well coming up in just a bit. We'll see you then, guys.
So they're breaking into our networks. They're holding it hostage. They're stealing our data.
Still ahead tonight on WRTV, local school districts are hit with cyber attacks as school is starting, how they're fighting back, and what parents can do as well.
And thunderstorms to the south now. We'll talk about where they'll be over the weekend and if you need to change your plans at all. That's coming up.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
The rebound is our commitment to making sure families and schools can get back on their feet amid this pandemic.
Many families are navigating e-learning, and with that comes cybersecurity concerns. WRTV Investigates has learned those parent concerns are valid. In fact, the FBI has issued an alert about criminals targeting virtual learning environments. Our Kara Kenny is finding out what schools are doing to protect students and the steps you can take as well.
Many students spend their day like this, staring at a computer screen. Well, criminals know this, and that's why they're targeting school networks.
Kevin Carr's son attends Avon High School, which recently moved to e-learning because of the coronavirus. Kevin worries about safety and security.
Unfortunately, our jobs, sometimes prevent us from being at home with him, just like a lot of other families. And so we want to protect his eyes and his heart and his ears. And so we've taken a lot of steps to control a lot of access.
And for good reason. The FBI has issued numerous warnings about threats to schools' cybersecurity, including Zoom bombing. The FBI has received more than 195 reports of incidents throughout the U.S. and in other countries in which a Zoom participant was able to broadcast a video depicting child sexual abuse material. Another threat? Distributed denial of service attacks. It happened to Southern Hancock County schools.
The way this attack works is basically you flood one specific IP address with all this traffic, and you basically create a traffic jam, so to speak, and none of the other data can get through.
The district was attacked as the school year started, and it shut down internet access for 6 schools. They're taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen again, including spreading out IP addresses throughout the district.
This was not an attack created with the intent of accessing student information or parent information or anybody's sensitive data. That was not the goal here. This was honestly just to be an annoyance or a nuisance, and take us offline.
In some cases, the hackers demand money.
Usually the cyber insurance company is recommending that you pay because the cost to recover in some cases from these ransomware crews, encrypting all of your data and all your servers and all of that is actually greater than what they're asking for.
Experts say the best way for schools and for parents to protect themselves is installing security tools on all your devices, including your phones. Also, change your passwords frequently and don't use the same passwords for all programs and applications. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
And I'm sure you noticed the cloud cover increasing through the afternoon hours. It led to thunderstorms to the south. There's still some rain there. We'll go find it in a second. But for most of us, it just cut off the afternoon heating. Kokomo is at 81 degrees. Indianapolis at 83. Temperature in Bloomington, 86. There were some upper 80s to the south. And it was in the 1980s that I got married. How about that? Say hello to my wife, Susan, there. This is a picture of us at our Purdue graduation. We've been married 32 years. Happy anniversary to my wife, Sue. Temperatures over the next several days stay in the mid-80s. The changes next week. We've got some isolated thunderstorms to the south. They've produced some heavy rain. Next 3 days, a chance for rain. It's never overwhelming, and it decreases as we get later in the weekend. And also decreasing will be both temperatures and humidity as we get into early next week. There's the trend. You see the average temperatures in the 80s. What will happen is that will slide. The temperatures will be down to the 70s, around 74, 75 degrees in the middle of next week. The humidity drops as well. Still humid now, tomorrow, and into the weekend. Sunday it will start to fall. With the humidity dropping then, the temperatures will follow suit as well. Okay, nothing happening really other than a sprinkle or two maybe in the northern half of the state. We head to the south. The area of thunderstorms that was over Bedford moving toward Bloomfield for the last hour or two has faded. There are some of the radar estimates of heavier rainfall between an inch and a half during the day tomorrow. Temperature by the time we get to noon, 78. Mid-80s for the afternoon high. If the thunderstorms don't start earlier, could have a shower or thunderstorm in the southern portion of the state through the morning, and then a chance for showers and thunderstorms just about anywhere in the afternoon, but it won't be widespread. There are the temperatures next 3 days in the 80s. Notice what happens. Then our rain chances disappear. Temperatures cool, 70s for highs, 50s for lows. 3 in a row there, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Even beyond the 7-day forecast, all indications are we continue with below average temperatures.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV Trackside, streaming now.
Live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, socially distanced, masks, still no fans, unfortunately.
I'm your fan.
Well, I'm your fan, kind
go.
of, but I mean, it's still weird, isn't it? Day 2 of this thing. So.
Oh, yeah, man. It's like I keep having to remind myself, like today, somebody asked me, hey, Tony, can you go out there and do a quick interview?
Right.
Yeah, sure. Let me grab my Sharpie. And then my PR lady said, what do you need your Sharpie for? And I said, that's true. There's no fans out there. So
don't need it. Ben Hanley is still trying to dial in the car for the weekend.
How lucky is he? He has his own session.
He's got the whole place to himself. I'm going to guess Fernando Alonso wishes he had that same sort of situation. About 5 o'clock this afternoon, take a look what happens to the two-time world champion. Entering turn 4, got a little low.
And way too low, and then wiggled and then hit the wall.
He's very lucky, though. He's spinning and could have really done a lot of damage if he would have hit that attenuator.
The attenuator would split his car in half, depending how you know, like engine and stuff. So really lucky, glad that he's okay, obviously, and it was just cosmetic.
Very light cosmetic damage. Let's hear from Fernando afterwards. What kind of a setback is this, do you feel, for the team?
It's always, there is always a step back when you have a crash, and you need to reset a couple of things on the car, but you know, because it was not at 11 in the morning, it was just now. I think we managed to do some good laps today and good information somehow, so let's hope that it's not affecting too much the weekend.
So the crew's going to be hard at work tonight getting that car ready to go tomorrow for Fast Friday. Quick 6 today, Scott Dixon. I kind of remember that name. So, oh, wait, yeah, he's like a 5-time series champion, a former Indy 500 champion.
Is he?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I guess he's gonna make it one day.
he was okay. Colton Hurd the quickest among the no-toe drivers out there. 221.8 for Colton Hurd. All right, let's talk about hoses and helmets. Obviously, with the aero screen, we see a lot of hoses coming up over the aero screen now.
So people to understand, we have hoses because we have a little duct outside that actually we were so hot.
Duct. D-U-C-T. Duct.
Yes, the duct. Duct, not the duck.
That's right.
whatever.
But you're trying to get air to the helmet, trying to keep the drivers
Which,
cool.
you know, it's not very efficient, I have to say. I mean, we need a lot more air
So
than
take
that.
a look. I mean, there is actually some engineering going on in this. And the Penske guys all have their air hoses below the aero screen. Some of these drivers have the hoses above. I mean, this is something you guys are working on.
It's kind of like, you know, driver preferences. I mean, we have to have it. It's some cooling. Some guys are trying different things. I don't think anybody knows what's best. So we're just trying to make it. Obviously, we exchange information to see what's better for us.
Meanwhile, there is some pretty cool helmet designs out there. Take a look at Max Chilton's helmet for the Indy 500. Explain what you've got here. This might be the best looking helmet in a long, long time at this place.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's part of the fun of the Indy 500, letting the drivers sort of create something. I've been fortunate enough to have the same helmet painter for 15 years, and he's an artist like my wife is, and I know my wife is happiest when she can do what she wants, so I give him free reins. He came up with this last year with the Borg. It's not just shadowing, it is actually textured, so it's pretty impressive. Weirdly, it's the first 500 helmet he's done for me where he hasn't actually put the year on it, and he obviously knew I wasn't going to qualify last year, so it's good again to use this year.
I know he did Dan Weldon's for so many years too, and to think that, I mean, I know he loves this place too.
Yeah, that's Jason's company. He did Dan's, and he's done Lewis. He did Lewis Hamilton's for many, many years. He's a very talented guy, and it's it's just very, very cool. It's a shame we have to put all this venting on it that covers it up, but otherwise we wouldn't breathe very well.
That's awesome. Jason Fowler's the designer, does a great job. Everyone has certain nuances about their helmets. You've got
yeah, when I
kids
was a
on the
little
back,
kid,
right?
yeah, I have all the kids here. So they have their hands, so they're pushing me from behind. I have Lauren's kiss on the top, and that's it. I mean, this is my my lids.
And they're great collector's items too. That's something when it's all said and done. You guys exchange helmets, and it's all pretty cool. So Tony Kanaan, day first, WRTV trackside. More at 7, more at 11. Until then, the news at 6 continues after this quick timeout.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be there. We'll join you at 7.